I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Why? Say it!
Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Good answer. Good answer.
Hello, welcome to Steelers Sanctuary War Room with Trent Ging and myself, Bob Quinn. And it's weird to be doing a war room without the Steelers playing in a couple hours, but unfortunately, this is how we right off the rip. Fuck the Patriots. I love it. Trent, how we doing? Is it weird doing a war room without the Steelers playing football?
Yeah, I mean, this is totally different, obviously, so this is all new for us, but I thought it'd be a little bit fun to keep War Room going. We're going to kind of talk about some guys that might be free agent targets. Some of them probably going to end up being a little bit more realistic than others, and as the offseason goes on, of course, you're going to have some other guys enter the picture that maybe aren't in the picture right now with cut downs and things like that will happen, but what the hell? It's the offseason, Bob. We got nothing better to do, so let's analyze some guys that might be targets.
Yeah, before we do that, Jay Glazer came out with a report earlier today and said that Tomlin is not necessarily felt like maybe the organization was holding them back from hiring coaches and improving the facilities. Do we think Mike Tomlin is going Terry Bradshaw and throwing the organization under the bus?
I don't know. If it's coming from Jay Glazer, it came straight out of Tomlin's mouth. I mean, those two have had a pretty tight relationship for a long time, so it's hard to imagine that Jay's not getting firsthand confirmation of some things, and it's not just him piecing the puzzle together. So I don't know. I mean, and it's going to make me think more and more about how much of this was Tomlin wanted to spend time with family and how much maybe the organization had heard the boos in the stadium and that the draft was coming into Pittsburgh and maybe they did say behind closed doors like, hey, you can walk away on your own or we can have a more difficult conversation. Which way do you want to go with this? So I don't know. This is going to get this is not over. Like, this does not feel over by any means. Like, I feel like this is going to continue into the offseason.
Yeah, it's so weird. And then they also reported that potentially he's done coaching, which, I threw out there a couple of times that no Steelers head coach has ever been hired to coach again for another organization. Of course, we all feel like Cowher could have. If Tomlin wants a job, he'll probably get a job. But what a difference the national narrative is now that all of a sudden, and I'm almost wondering if they're running cover because he was so, the 9 years only won 4 playoff games and 4 out of 13 appearances. I wonder if the national media is starting to cover and maybe putting in his ear, hey, Mike, if you come back, you are not coming back to the Steelers. If you fuck up 2 or 3 years in a row and they fire you, Hall of Fame might go bye-bye.
That's an interesting thought because I guess I didn't really think about it that way. I mean, right now, I think people are going to make a lot of narrative, and Corbin brought this up last night, that he has enough accolades right now to get in. I mean, he has a Super Bowl, whether it's Cowher's guys or not. You can argue what you want. That's not going to be part of the decision-making process to get him in the gold jacket. He does have the win streak, or the non-losing season streak, I should say. And overall, the way he's been viewed for all these years, and there is voting on this thing, right? It's sports writers voting and things like that. So the popularity contest, he's absolutely going to win the popularity contest when it comes to national media because they've been behind his back, pushing him forward into the spotlight for, decades, almost 2 decades. So it'd be interesting to see, could he come to a team and tank, and then maybe that does put him in jeopardy? I don't know. That's an interesting thought, Bob. That is an interesting thought.
Yeah, I feel like it's very much like the Russell Wilson discussion, where if Russell Wilson retires 3 years ago after the bad year in Denver, everybody just chalks up, okay, you had a shitty year. Most of your career was really good. You're a Hall of Famer. But I kind of feel like he's played himself out of the Hall of Fame now because there's a lot of quarterbacks with one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So,
And it's interesting too because like I can see both sides of this whole argument that Glazier's bringing out here. So I know a couple of people in the chat sitting, one we're talking about finding it hard to believe that Tomlin doesn't get everything he wants. He has the most power of any coach in the NFL, and I mean outside of Belichick, he did have more power than Tomlin.
yeah, and
There's no one. But
key thing there is had, because I cannot see another organization letting him, and not only another organization, let's say they did give him the power. Pittsburgh had the cover of, we don't know who has the power, so national media could blame the GM and the owner and everybody else, even though we all kind of knew who was pulling the strings in Pittsburgh. The national press was all, oh, what do you expect? He doesn't have a quarterback, doesn't have this, doesn't have that. You know, I don't know. I have a feeling the more it gets removed, because it's been more than 5 minutes and he doesn't have a job, that this is going to, you know, and I heard the rumors about, oh, Buffalo. Why the fuck would you trade McDermott, who's at least won a playoff game, for Tomlin? Yeah. I don't get
it. And I mean, to be fair, like there's been a lot of reports that numerous teams called and asked about him, right? I mean, so like the national narrative that he would have got a job in 5 minutes is true. If he wanted it and he said, yeah, I'm coming back today, they're working on a deal with somebody tomorrow, right? I mean, that's just the way it's going to work out. But at the same time, it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. So Glacier and his family. Yeah, he probably did. This is an interesting one here from Adam, though.
I don't know why he would want that job. Okay, so Emeka Egbuka, younger guy, but the two big-time wide receivers are old. I mean, Mike Evans might not even be back with the team.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield is your quarterback. There's good and there's bad with that. You know, Bucky Irving's a nice running back. But, you know, I think the offensive line is okay and the defense is okay. I don't know. I mean, Tampa would be crazy enough to do something like that. It'd be interesting if he went full circle and came back to Tampa. But I will say this, Tampa does not play around with coaches. I mean, if you're not successful 2 or 3 years down there, there is a lot of New York, Northeast transplants in Tampa who don't tolerate a bunch of bullshit from their coaches.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that makes it interesting to me is the fact that, like, supposedly Tomlin allegedly wanted to get to warmer weather, and that would be a job where he could get to warmer weather. So, I don't know. I mean, the building blocks aren't there for sure. I mean, like, there's not – that seems kind of interesting. They're not as old as what the Steelers were, but I feel like the Steelers right now have more building blocks in place than what Tampa Bay has because, you know, they're going to lose their middle linebacker. You're probably losing potentially 2 wide receivers in this, depending on, you know, I mean, Evans, they may try to bring back for 1 year. He's a free agent right now. I mean, you've already had another receiver that's had a ton of injury issues throughout his career. Like, does he say screw it and hang him up? Like, I don't know. So I don't know. That one's an interesting scenario.
Tampa's a weird team. I you know, Baker was MVP candidate first half, and he was the worst of the worst Baker in the second half of the season. I feel like there's a chance because he's not taking a job this year. If he waited 2 years, I think there's a chance Baker's not there.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
I mean, at this point, you know, Baker kind of rehabbed himself in the Sean McVay offense, and then he came to Tampa and played pretty well. the last couple of years. He hasn't played badly. It's a nice little story.
Mm-hmm.
But 1-7 is 1-7 down the stretch, and he wasn't very good. A lot of injuries. He could definitely snap back and have a great year this year. There's something about it, and I kind of like Baker. I was very much against the Steelers getting him a couple of years ago, but now looking back, how much better off would we have been if we just got Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I mean, this whole narrative is going to be weird. And I feel like I said a minute ago, I don't think it's over. I think there's more that's going to keep coming out about this because somebody somewhere seems unhappy. And I saw Sid put up in there earlier about he hopes that they do redo all the facilities and stuff now that Tomlin's gone. That'd be a little bit of sense of irony if they do.
Well, the one thing, when this first came out a couple of years ago, and I was still writing for Steeler Nation, I did a couple of pretty in-depth articles about this. The problem with the facility is where the stadium is, there's nowhere to go. There is nowhere to go downtown. The only option they have to really change the vibe in the facility is to kick out Pitt.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Now, they can do that in 2030, but it's 2026. So I just don't know how much you can do, to rehab the locker room and change the practice facilities unless you throw Pitt out of there, because Pitt has half the facility. And that's a deal with the city. You took public funding. Pitt had a home for 30 years.
Here's the resident WVU fan kicking in his kick Pitt out.
Kick Pitt.
I mean, to be
I
fair,
there's room in Morgantown for them to play. They may own that stadium at some point.
I mean, to be fair, though, just buy Pitt out. They would take the money. I mean, buy them out of the contract and have them build their own little stadium. I mean, they only need, about 50, 60 people to sit there? I mean, nobody shows up to the fucking Pitt games anyway. So, you don't need a big stadium.
It has some nice crowds, and
I'm just joking.
Yeah, they could have, but they would be better off. I think all college teams should have stadiums on campus. I think it's, unless you're, look at Tennessee, Rocky. All the really iconic stadiums in college football, they're on campus. The Big House, the Horseshoe, the Touchdown Jesus, Alabama, Between the Hedges in Georgia. All the really cool spots are on campus. So,
right.
Let Pitt build a 40,000 seat stadium that just rocks like crazy. All right, so we're getting a little sidetracked here. Let's talk some free agent quarterbacks here.
Yes. So it's early in the process. This is going to change, but I think it's pretty easy to say the number one option that's out there on the market right now is going to be Malik Willis. He's probably going to be the hottest name. Anybody who watched that game between Green Bay and Baltimore knows exactly what they're looking at with this. He definitely has drastically improved. And one of the things that I wanted to point out on this graphic that we have up here on the screen is his bad throw percentage drastically dropped. So if you look at it the first couple of seasons, he was at 22.2%. He was at 20% on bad throw rate. He dropped down to 13.2 in very limited action in 2024 for Green Bay, but then all the way down to 5%, 5.7 this past year. Mm-hmm. It's a limited sample size. Obviously, he wasn't a starter, so some of the numbers get skewed, but I think that it's impressive. And as we get into the film part of it, you'll see exactly why. I think you'll notice why the bad throw percentage kind of dropped. So that was something I picked out with him.
Well, I accidentally turned it off. Here, let's rewind this to the beginning. So, this is against the Ravens game. I will say this. I see some people talking about the Dolphins thing. We talked about it a little bit in prep. I really think it depends who Hafley brings with them as the OC. I wouldn't 1,000,000% say that they're going to go there, especially if one Mr. Lamar Jackson forces his way out of Baltimore.
Yeah. And again, we're kind of in limbo right now too because we don't know who our coaching staff is going to be. There could be a young offensive coach who comes here that gets along with Malik really well. You never know. I mean, if Shieldhouse ends up here, might be a guy that they really want to go after. So we don't know. We're just kind of speculating at this point, obviously. So we'll see. We'll see.
And I see some trade targets. Stick around because we're going to get there. But let's look at Malik Willis from our film first.
All right, Malik Willis, we're going to highlight some of the changes he's made. So 12 personnel, they're in a jumbo package. Dobbs is isolated at the bottom of the screen. He runs a go. Willis does a good job looking off the safety. He's already coming down into the box. And then he just kind of lets it fly. And this ends up being a huge gain. So on the second look of this, it shows him how he holds the safety. So if you watch Malik's head on this one, there's something he was not doing in the early parts of his career. He's looking off the safety right there, notices the safety drop down in the box, and he has one-on-one on the outside and just delivers a strike downfield. Now, that was right at the beginning of the game. So they opened that thing up with a huge play. Great look from that. Here's the thing for me. He was a running quarterback coming out of this. He does not even attempt. I mean, look at this. This is feet planted, hitting his drop, knowing where he's going with the football, and just delivers a strike. No happy feet, no second guessing. That's something that definitely changed from first 2 years of Malik Willis to the Green Bay version of Malik Willis. So I loved how he opened this game up and being aggressive. And for a guy who's been sitting all year to take a shot like that and deliver it on the money, and that's Nate Wiggins in coverage. I mean, that's their cover guy.
And he's not wide open. This isn't a blown coverage. This is he's professionally open, but this is not a big window.
Yep. And I mean, he's got the ball out in front. That's not, a back shoulder because you can't throw the back shoulder very well there the way Wiggins was in coverage. Get the ball out in front of the receiver. They did a good job here. I mean, that's a great throw in the NFL. And to start the game off that way, that's fantastic right there. Fantastic. So on the second look, we're going to see a couple of penalties happen before this. They get into a 3rd and long. There's an empty set with 2 tight ends. Willis sees this as cover 2. The safety split and just finds his man straight up the seam. Again, this is another really decisive throw. Hamilton is the guy who ends up in front. He's kind of in the box on this look. He's not in the box on the picture right now, but he ends up coming down. There he is, right on the edge of your screen on the right side there. So Hamilton drops, and right here you can see he recognizes zone, and he knows when he sees the safety split, he's got his man, and this is their big play threat. He's running right up the seam, tall receiver, gives him plenty of room to look, and he just laces the ball straight in there. There's no extra, tick of where should I go with the ball. I mean, that's something, the decisive part for him and the accuracy part for him, that is definitely different than what we had seen in the past with him. So I really liked what he did with that. I mean, that was a 3rd and 20 play. He went from 3rd and 20 to a touchdown. So that's a great concept, first of all, in the play design, but also a great job of him just getting in the pocket and delivering a strike. So he definitely was not doing that 2 years ago.
I'm just struck by how settled his feet are now compared to when Tennessee, those few games he had to play where it was literally, I'm going to run. Oh, somebody's open. Let me push the ball towards them. I mean, he has, and this is kind of what I think with some of these young quarterbacks. I think we're going to see a lot more Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, things like this where we get reclamation projects because they're going to go sit behind a Sean McVay or a Kyle Shanahan disciple, and they're going to learn how to play the position. This guy, and kudos to Willis, because he could have been a red ass when he got there behind Jordan Love and just took plays off. Hendon Hooker looking at you. Hooker is a guy who had this kind of talent, and he could have maximized his opportunity in Detroit. Instead, he didn't study, got himself thrown off the team, and now look where he is.
Yep.
But I like to see this because I was down on Malik Willis in the draft for a lot of the reasons that you're pointing out. But I like to see that, a couple of years in the league, Lenore Summers, if you sit for a couple of years, this could be you.
Yeah, he corrected a lot of mechanics in this for sure. We're going to keep highlighting because I like this tape, honestly. So Packers in a trips look at the top of the screen on this one. You're going to bring Watson down in motion to the bottom of the screen. So watching him come in motion right there, he knows this is his zone coverage right off the bat. You don't see anybody following Watson down at the bottom of the screen. And he's got a cover 2 look in the pre-snap. He sees the tight end is going to open up on this. So this looks like a really simple throw, right? I mean, this is just a simple pitch and catch. He wasn't making that decisive throw 2 years ago. So again, when you're looking at a guy, we talked about fundamentals being an issue coming into the draft. I mean, he's reading the defense. You can see on this look, he's reading the defense. Nobody's following him. He knows he's going to look outside to Watson first. If that throw's not there, come right back to the tight end, and he goes through the progressions on this play pretty quickly. You can see the head snap out. He looks out down to the tight end, easy pitch and catch first. And that is something where you keep the chains moving. That's professional quarterback play. That is not, I have the big arm, I have the legs. I could try to make them spectacular play, or I can make an NFL play, hit the tight end in the middle of the field right there, get a 5-6 yard gain, and you're ahead of the sticks just like that. So I know that's a simple play, and everybody's here probably like, oh, well, what the hell, why are we showing that? That's why, because it's a professional football play, and he wasn't making those 2 years ago. So it shows progression. So on this one, the Packers and 12 personnel, they got 2 tight ends on this one. They're overloaded to the top of the screen. It's going to kind of put the defense in a little bit of a scenario. So on this play, it was a play action where Willis is going to roll out to his left side. So he is a mobile quarterback. What I want you to see is watch how he flips the hips and gets some weight behind the ball. That's a pretty, still using a lot of arm on that throw. But at the same time, he snaps the hips around instead of just trying to use all arm. This is a wide throw all the way out to the boundary on the far side of the field. In the NFL, that's a very dangerous pass. You have to have a lot of trust in your arm. And again, I think that was Wiggins out there in coverage initially.
It was?
Yeah, Wiggins is right there. That's a 4.29 guy, 4.3 guy out there. If he breaks on the ball at the right time and you don't have the mustard on it, he's going for 6 the other way because you ain't catching it. So
you know what?
I love the way he flipped his hips and got the power behind that ball to make sure that gets out for a completion.
I feel like we should put up some CJ Stroud highlights to see what happens when you throw that ball late or don't get the ball out when you're supposed to.
Yes, absolutely. So I listen. I mean that's a very dangerous throw, and he made it look very easy on that play. So I love the way he did that and put the weight behind the ball too. So out of this one, this is late in the half. Actually, he needs to move the ball. You got Watson at the bottom of the screen. Runs a 12-yard out route. It's another just put the foot in the ground, drive the ball out there, and allow your receiver to get out of bounds. So the way he kind of led him on this play too. So you have a couple of things here. Watch the back foot hit. He knows where he's going with the ball. He sees the zone coverage off the pre-snap. Drive the ball. And he has that big arm, right? So you got a 12-yard out route late in the half, drives the ball, and puts it in a position where Watson can get out of bounds in tight coverage. Because let's be honest, we've seen that plenty of times in the NFL where you get that on the inside shoulder, the DB makes a tackle in bounds. Now, I don't know what the timeout situation was, but if you don't have timeouts in that situation, he's tackled in bounds. You could be talking about a play where you live to fight with a couple more plays after this, maybe 3 more plays because you got him out of bounds, or maybe you're playing for a field goal instead of trying to go for a touchdown. And I thought that was just something that was important, the way he was able to drive the ball, get him out of bounds, and lead him out of bounds as well.
Absolutely.
So this is another trips look where they're on the long side of the field. They bring Reed in this orbit motion right here. It's designed to take a shot to Golden. If you watch Golden, he's going to be the inside man on the Twins look up top. So he's going to come up to the middle of the screen, and you see how the linebacker drops. Willis wanted to go there. The young Willis was taking that shot. Instead, he gets it out, a little completion. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's a 3-yard gain, but we talk about a guy learning the NFL, not taking the chances. This was an interception for him 2 years ago. Easily an interception 2 years ago. But watch the middle linebacker on this play. Roquan's the guy who ends up dropping out, so he's the guy kind of now in the middle of the screen. Roquan sees it is not a run play. He immediately turns and runs. Now, Willis wanted to go right there. You could see it. He holds the ball. Could he have hit the tight end right here? Maybe. But is it a dangerous play to go to the tight end even right there with Kyle Hamilton, who's another guy who's a big play guy? Take the safe play. And that is progression for a young guy who had turnover issues in the past and a guy who honestly looks a lot better playing quarterback in the NFL.
Excuse me. This is an interesting point by Greg, too. It's not that he's huge, but what you notice about him, what strikes me about him, is he's a big 6'1". He kind of reminds me a little bit of the Jalen Hurts big 6'1", where he's a squat, big, wide-shouldered, and you can tell he's a running quarterback. I mean, he would be a problem in the open field as a running back at 6'1", 225.
He was in that game.
Yeah.
Do you remember that big scramble play?
Yeah, and we look at some guys who are coming out in college, and we'll talk about this on the Sunday Draft Show a little bit, I'm sure, because we're talking about quarterbacks this Sunday.
Yeah.
Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, those guys are 6'1". This is a different looking 6'1". This is a guy who's solid, and if you come tag me, oh yeah, you're going to pay a price. Whereas a guy like Klubnik and Nussmeier, they're slight, they're small. Jaden Daniels is a little bit bigger than this, and has a lot more, oomph to his game than some of these. But they strike me as I'm skinny as Jaden Daniels, but I don't have his skill set. I'm not 6'3", I'm 6'1".
Yeah. And at 225, you're kind of pushing where you're bigger than a lot of the running backs in the NFL. There's a lot of running backs now because the league has changed so much to go to speed. Most of your running backs are coming out 210. So 225, I mean, he's a big dude. I mean, he's definitely a load, and that's a compact 225 at 6'1". It's, obviously the Buckeye guy, Justin Fields was 6'3", 225 coming out of Ohio State. But that extra 2 inches, it leans you out, right? Like, I mean, for the way your body is looking at 220, he does not look anything like Willis at 225. Mm-hmm. So it is a very compact, big, heavy load at 225 for him. So for sure.
Yeah. I think we'll get to some guys who maybe play a little bit more like those guys. I don't feel like Willis is comparable to Stroud or Williams. I think he's even more settled than both of them at this point.
He kind of looks that way. All right, so in this one, Packers are going to come back out. They're starting in a trips. Look at the bottom of the screen. They bring Wicks in motion this time. They're going to blitz Hamilton on this one. And rather than taking off and running, this was another play where I thought this is progression for this kid, right? I mean, he was a run-first guy anytime he didn't have his first read in Tennessee. So he comes here and just watch what he does. So instead of running, he just slides. Slide in the pocket, find your guy, get him out in the open field, and then Dobbs does the rest from there. That's something that he learned, obviously, in this system is just making sure that he gives himself a chance, right? Like, you don't have to be the guy who makes all the plays like he did at Liberty. You're in the NFL now. He didn't get that the first 2 years, and I thought that was a great little thing of just sliding in the pocket. And how many quarterbacks, honestly, come out of college and they do not learn to slide in the pocket? Tom Brady was the best. Tom Brady was absolutely the best at sliding in the pocket. That dude had no mobility, but you couldn't fucking sack him half the time because he figured out a way to slide in the pocket and avoid pressure. That was him feeling the pressure off the backside, sliding to the right, and then still finding the throwing lane. And I don't know if you noticed, but the way he altered his throwing motion even, he kind of gave it that like three-quarter sidearm throw around the defensive lineman there. I'm telling you, this kid has progressed way, way more than I thought until I started really digging into some of this stuff. So,
yeah.
And then on this one, we do get to the athleticism. So here's the play action. You can see everybody kind of crash down on the running back. Now, he hadn't ran to this point, but once he does get out in space, it's a foot race, and he's going to win that foot race. He still has some burners to him. And you'll see even more on the second look. Watch everybody from the linebackers, the safety, the corner. They all come crashing down into the middle when they thought this is a run play. So here comes the play action, and look where everybody's going. Simpson was diving into the hole, right? Marlon Humphrey. Humphrey's crashing down from the corner spot. Well, that's your contain. He's your contain right now. And we all talked about, Humphrey against the Ravens game where he's lost a step. It wouldn't have mattered. I mean, you could have had anybody out there because, look, as soon as he recognizes that's an oh shit moment for a veteran DB right there. He's got his hands up in the air because he knows that's an oh shit moment. I got to get going because this dude's got some wheels. And gone. I mean, that's just gone. And again, like you talked about earlier, he's a big dude. So even if you get a hand on him, you're going to take more than a hand to get him down.
Oh yeah, that's a one.
Gilliam took a terrible angle there, and that shows that he doesn't recognize the speed that Willis has too. When you see a professional DB take an angle that bad, he doesn't even recognize how fast this guy is. So it looks different when they're in on the field than it does on film.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, this is a guy I know, and Vaughn, definitely take your bow here because Vaughn was on him early. We kind of came to it at the same time, I think. But that being said, there is something different about him now. And yes, I would love it if he comes to Pittsburgh. I don't think it's Tomlin centric here. I think he kind of knows I need the right guy to draw the plays to make me look really good. The Green Bay has a very good offensive system.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I think he is, that's why, I mean, could he, because of Miami with the Hafley connection? Okay, maybe. But if Hafley turns around and hires Arthur Smith or somebody like that, if I'm Malik Willis, I'm not going there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And I'll say this, like I'm highlighting all of the strides that I felt like he's made in this. We still don't know if he's going to be a long-term answer because what we've seen, you can see the improvement, but there's two sides of the coin. I could also make the argument that Baltimore's defense was god-awful, right? I mean, they were just a bad defense this year. But I think what you've seen with him mechanically, it's the reason I'm pointing all these things out is he becomes worth the shot, right? Like he may not be the franchise quarterback. We don't know. Maybe he does turn out to be the franchise quarterback, but because you see the mechanics changes and the way that he's learning to play NFL quarterback, it's worth the shot. And that's why he's my top option now in this free agency because, I mean, there's no one in the draft. There's just no one in the draft for Pittsburgh to go after. So what do you have to lose in Malik Willis? If he does really, really well, great. Maybe you found your franchise quarterback and you give him a 2-year deal where it's team-friendly and you get 2 good years out of him on a cheap contract and then you pay him later. Or if he absolutely bottoms out and he's the exact same guy that, came out of that draft class that a lot of us didn't like, well, then we can draft our guy pretty high next year, right? Because he bottomed out the team too. So I just think there's no risk to this play.
You could do a Jets deal with Justin Fields and guarantee you get Willis. Shower, my man. You can kind of see option 2 up on it. When Trent said this to me, I was like, you do know he's hurt, right? I mean, with an Achilles.
Yeah, there's not many options. This is a very bad. The problem is the free agent class isn't great. The draft isn't great. There's not a lot to pick from here. So that's why I'm as high on Malik Willis as I am. Is he literally is the only option in free agency. Now Daniel Jones had a really nice year, to be fair, but coming off of that Achilles, who's he going to be at this point, right? So. His bad throw percentage, he's another guy. His bad throw percentage, I kind of highlighted his bad throw percentage too. It dropped every year too. So I can't see my screen over here. He went 17.9%, 17.6, 18.4, and then he started really kind of figuring it out a little bit. 12.2, 13.7, 12.5, 12.1 here in Indy. And he really from working with that Indianapolis staff. Steichen really helped him out a lot. And the receivers that he had there, because the Giants really haven't had a lot of receivers. So these guys, Pittman, Pierce, they helped him out a ton. I think that also helped make a difference for him. But this is another guy that it's pretty easy to point out that you can see growth in him as well. I mean, you saw – I mean, we talked about this when Pittsburgh was going to play Indy. They were the hottest offense in the NFL at that point in time of the season. There was no doubt about it. So, I think that we're going to highlight why he's a better option than bringing back Aaron Rodgers in this one. So even if you have to wait on him, it might be worth it depending on how long you wait. Tui Pulatu is going to come off the edge virtually untouched in this one. Daniel Jones brings another bit of that running element. He's very underrated for his running ability, to be honest with you. And he doesn't just use it to actually get out and run the football, but they use it a lot of times to move the pocket, get him out in space, avoid pressure. So the guard's pulling on this one. There's just no way he's going to get to that. But you're moving the pocket, and the defense also reacted to that. He's able to get the ball out in front to the tight end. That ended up being Tyler Warren. It ends up going for a pretty big gain, to be fair. So,
yeah, my only question with Jones is coming off the Achilles. Number one, being it was December, is it possible he could be ready in September? Yes, there are guys who can come back that fast now from an Achilles. But if it's we sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal, because I don't think he can go longer than that on Daniel Jones, and now all of a sudden he's out till December, and we're stuck with, does then the temptation of what you would have to pay Jones based on the year, does it maybe intimidate you from taking somebody in the 27 draft, especially as bad a season as you could potentially have with him? But that being said, if he's there in September, this could be a real high risk reward type of deal.
I looked this up on SpotRack. Now take what you will from SpotRack, because sometimes they're pretty good and sometimes they're not on these average values. They have his market value right now at 4 years, $174.4 million, which is $43.6 a year. If that's the contract for Daniel Jones, I will run Will Howard's happy ass out there as QB1 for Pittsburgh, because I'm not paying Daniel Jones $43 million coming off of an Achilles. And none of these guys are somebody that I would be signing to a long-term deal, because we've seen guys in free agency come out, have one really good year, they get a big contract from a team, and then they go right back to who they were at times, right? And that could be the Daniel Jones thing here. Maybe not. We'll see, because he's had good moments in the Giants. But I sure shit ain't paying that dude $43 million for 4 years and missing out on a chance to draft a guy in the 27 class. That's just true. That's not happening for me. But there are some good things about Daniel Jones. So let's get back into it. 13 personnel look for the Colts. This is a one. No one is open in the zone. So the Chargers do a great job of kind of covering up everybody on this play. Daniel Jones just kind of takes off, right? And this is the running ability that he does have. Just makes something out of nothing. I mean, there's not a whole lot there. And the Chargers defense had a pretty good year on this one. So I think that was something that he brings that escapability. Aaron Rodgers really limited what we're able to do as a team in a playbook and schematically. Like, you can't really do anything. So this is the modern day NFL now. I mean, how many of these quarterbacks can do exactly this play right here? And we have just not really had it in Pittsburgh outside of 6 games from Justin Fields. But outside of that, we've not had this. So again, this is the other look. You can see how the Chargers are talking. They're covering everything up. Could have maybe dumped that underneath to the tight end right off the bat, but he feels the pressure coming, makes him hold the ball an extra tick, and just gets out and picks up 7 yards, 6 yards. That's the modern day NFL, and that's something he does bring to the table. So mobility is a good thing.
Something's wrong with the tape. There it is.
I was kind of waiting to see what's going on. So this time the Colts are spreading this thing out in 11 personnel. The Chargers are in their nickel coverage. Jones does a good job of reading the defense on this play, and he's going to end up delivering this to the open man. So he ends up missing on the throw right here, and you see Pittman coming across behind everybody. He kind of missed on that throw a little bit. It was just out in front, but I think he did a good job of reading the defense. You can see he's going to make a check right here. He's going to shift some protections. And then he knows exactly where to go with the ball. So he does have it upstairs. So if you want to talk about a guy who understands the game, he knew Warren would be covered up. And he knows that I think it was Pittman that was coming across on that like deep slant route there. But just misses on the throw, but at the same time, like that's a guy who, if you want to go play professional freaking offense, because we've had some guys that Mason Rudolph haven't been able to do that. Like that's what you want. You want a guy who understands the defense. He knows where to go with the football. You have a modern day offense, which is what we're hoping to bring in here. You can see the levels look of the way that route concept was going on that play, and he just reads it perfectly and gets it right to the right guy.
Yep. DMC chiming in with Mason Rudolph just threw an interception.
Oh, God. All right, so here's a play Jones needs to improve recognition. So the Chargers are showing a zero blitz on this look. On the play, he should be checking to a hot route. He does not check to a hot route. He doesn't make any adjustments. And he tries to short arm a ball to the middle of the field. I mean, this wasn't a one-time thing in this game, by the way. This happened a few times, and this is something that's a little concerning for me, is he recognizes one play really well, and then another play he doesn't. And he just short arms that ball, knowing pressure is coming. He doesn't try to adjust the pressure or he doesn't try to adjust any of the protections. He doesn't check to a hot route. I mean, you had a trips look on that outside. Why would you not check that to a hot route to one of those guys and just say, hey, check it to a screen, a wide receiver screen, just get it out there. They're in a zero blitz look. Who's out there? You got maybe one or two guys that can get out there. So that's something I think I'd like to see him do a little bit better. He didn't step through the pressure on that play either, which that kind of irritated me as well. So I think that was another thing. And you'll kind of see that as we get back into it here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to catch up here. I accidentally hit the wrong button.
Because watch, the double A gap, the mug look, they drop out. So the pressure's coming up the edges. He does not step up. He doesn't try to step through. He short arms a ball. There was no check. There's no nothing. I mean, there wasn't a lot of places to go with the ball on the middle of the field on this play because it's just going to take too long to develop. And if both guys drop out like they do, where are you going to go with it? So he just tries to short arm it. I just didn't love that recognition by him on that play. So on this one, the Colts are coming out. They're in an empty backfield. The Chargers are in a zone once again. I like this route concept. They run Pittman underneath, and then Pierce goes kind of in that deep flag route over top. And he delivers a beautiful deep ball in this play. I mean, beautiful deep ball. So you'll see this again from the other look. Tyler Warren's kind of on the inside right side of the screen. He's going to stay in a block right there and then kind of sling out to the side. But underneath, Pittman just kind of ran underneath. He took the corner with him, and that just leaves a safety on that deep flag route. And he delivered a really beautiful ball on that one. So I love the way he does that.
Yeah, and it's definitely – I'm struck by – I feel like Willis at this point is probably actually still the better quarterback of the two with the pocket presence because we didn't see any of those mistakes with the throws where, Jones – and let's face it, I mean, he had some good times in New York and he had some really bad times. But this is, again, coaching right here. Dable is kind of a quarterback with Spurs. Steichen turned him into a much better player. I kind of am disappointed we're going to potentially see him go somewhere else because he might turn into what he was supposed to be as a first-round draft pick if he stays with Steichen.
I think he ultimately will, but we'll see. Chargers are going to show that same zero blitz look on this one. This time, Daniel Jones does actually understand, if they drop out where the hole in this one's going to be. He delivers a beautiful ball on this one. So he waits. The fact that he waits, this was another thing that's a little different between he and Aaron. He knows it's coming. He sees the blitz off the edge. He has the right protections in place this time. The running back comes through, and he does not do a good job of picking up Derwin James because he's still going to get killed on this play if he holds it too long. But Daniels, he does not wait. I mean, he doesn't get rid of the ball too quickly. He holds that ball and allows the tight end time to get back behind the linebacker and then throws a perfect strike. So you can see where, the talent level is there. When he makes the right reads, he can make the right throws. I thought that was a beautiful play, and we didn't get that from Aaron Rodgers. I can tell you that right now. We did not get that from Aaron Rodgers. He just I think I just lost my place. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know where I am. Go ahead. All right.
Okay.
So this is one where I think he's a taller quarterback as well. So I think this is a play where we talk about throwing to the middle of the field. This is an easy pitch and catch. but it's also an easy pitch and catch because Daniel Jones is tall and he has the arm talent to really just stand in there, see over top of the offensive line, and deliver a nice strike. So, again, this is good play recognition by him. He sees and knows where the soft spot and this is going to be. Again, they've got Derwin James down in the box on the right side of your screen. The linebackers are all on the left side. So he knows once he sees the way that they react to this, it's a man. There's no one there on his other receiver, and Pittman that's his security blanket right there. As much as most tight ends are the security blanket, I talked about this when they played against Indy from Pittsburgh's standpoint. Pittman clearly was his security blanket. So as soon as he sees that guy come into the middle of the field and does not have a guy on his hip, he's delivering that ball 10 out of 10 times. So this is one where they're going to motion Warren out on this play all the way out wide. So you basically end up in the 4-wide set. This is a modern-day football should look like on offense. We haven't seen this in Pittsburgh. So Warren's going to run a little hitch. Pittman's hitting a deep slant back behind it. Combination of that route helps open it up because you'll see the linebacker kind of sit with Warren on this one. Jones, again, this is high-level understanding from the quarterback position of when he sees what defensive player is going to react, where the opening should be in the playbook. You see the tight ends, but you have one kind of curl in the middle. You have a little hitch on the outside between Warren, and you know the guy coming back behind is going to be open between those linebackers. He delivers a nice ball. So I think what we've seen from Daniel Jones, it's definitely improvement from even what we'd seen in New York. Still, man, I like what Willis has brought to the table personally.
All right, option number 3, one of my favorite players. Look, is this the franchise? No. Is this the next best thing to Jameis Winston in the NFL? To me, absolutely.
He reminds me so much of Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, he reminds me so much of Ryan Fitzpatrick. There's a game where Gardner will go off, and there's another game where you just don't want him in the stadium. And I mean, how can you not love it, right? So his path through percentage is everywhere. So he's gone from 18.6, 18.6, 12.5. Okay, nice, decent season. Back up to 20 even. Then he goes to 15.5, a little higher than you want, 13.5, and then he goes all the way to 27.3, which is the very limited reps that he has had. He only played the one game. He was 6 for 13 before he got hurt, and that was that Kansas City game. So I'm not going to bash him too bad for the 27, but.
And actually, Greg, just real quick, Greg, the injury was not a torn ACL. It is a knee injury, but he is expected to be back by opening day.
Yeah. So I tried to give a little bit of an apples-to-apples comparison. So since he played for the Colts, we're going to look at him at the Colts. So this is one where they're in a 3-receiver set at the bottom of the screen. Downs is coming in motion. He runs a little option route right in the middle there. And Gardner does a good job of kind of getting him a chance to make a play after the catch on this one. So if you see the little option route right there, he just gets it out quick enough to where he can make a play. This is against a good Browns defense that year. They were still pretty solid defense. They're always pretty solid, honestly. But he does a good job getting the ball out quick, getting it to his guy. So here, Minshew is a blessing and a curse. He's got a gunslinger mentality. He does get a free play on this one. You see down streaking down to the bottom of the screen there. Minshew delivers this ball on time, on money, touchdown. So this is the blessing and the curse that you get with Gardner Minshew is he goes on a hard count. He gets Myles Garrett to jump off sides, which you see on the right side of the screen there. Garrett's on the wide 9 technique. He jumps off. He knows he's got a free play right here. And he just looks for the first deep shot he can take. Ends up being behind the corner. Safety does not get over there. Ends up being a touchdown. He ends up going for 303 yards and 3 touchdowns in this game. But he also turned the ball over a couple times too. So
yeah, against a really good Browns defense.
It was a very good Browns defense. So right here, ball control has always been an issue for Gardner Minshew. They're going to 11 personnel set. I don't know what the hell he's doing on this play, to be perfectly honest with you. Myles Garrett wins around the edge. This is one of the 3 fumbles he lost on the day. So Gardner knows he's coming. This is the part that got me. So on this angle, you can see it really well. Play action. Gardner knows he's coming right there. Like, he feels the pressure coming behind him. He's trying to throw the ball. You see him at the bottom of the screen? He's trying to throw the ball. He's almost on the ground trying to throw the ball. That is the Gardner Minshew that we all love. I mean, like, why are you not tucking the ball right there and just taking the sack and eating it? I don't know what he was doing. Just when I saw that, I was like, oh, he takes a sack, bad ball control. He doesn't tuck it when he knows the pressure's coming. But then when I saw the other angle, I'm like, he's not tucking the ball. He's actively trying to throw the ball and it's stripped before he actually gets moving. So
sometimes you get Uncle Rico, sometimes you get Minshew magic.
That just cracked me up. I laughed so hard when I saw that because I couldn't believe it. So the Colts are going to come back out here in 11 personnel. Tight ends kind of set off in that little H-back set. They're going to come in motion down to the bottom of the screen. As a play action, he's got double crossers at the top of the screen right there. So, again, he has a little bit of mobility to him too. So, we went back to the first
by accident.
Downs play. Yep.
Yeah, I hit the play button.
Yeah, no, you're good. That thing's hard to do. You're way better at it than I would be. So that was the strip stack for Garrett.
Oh, there's
listen. If you miss it the first time, just please pay attention to him on that. The fact that he tries to throw this ball absolutely cracked me up.
Yeah, this is
this is it. So this is the other side of it. So you got the.
He's like
trying to throw it.
He's like, screw that! I'm throwing this bitch.
I just didn't understand. I mean, like, I've never seen somebody wrapped up in Myles Garrett trying to throw the ball, but he did it. That's our Gardner Minshew. All right, so they shift the running back to the eye out of the pistol. They bring the tight end in motion. You're going to get the double crossers coming in the middle of the screen right here. Now, Minshew got pressure immediately. He does get out of it, so he's got a little mobility, and then he delivers this ball. And I mean, this is one that it was a little behind. If I remember, I kind of missed part of that.
Yeah.
He delivered a strike. He delivered a strike on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually see it much better from this angle. So this is a good. I mean, this is the good you get from Gardner Minshew, right? Like, he's the blessing and the curse. I'm going to keep saying it, but he gets out and rolls out. I mean, there's nobody blocking these guys behind him, and then he just delivers a strike on the run. I mean, it's slightly behind, but that's a pretty tough throw to make in the NFL. He gets it out there and delivers a pretty nice throw and gets him a nice first down right here. Moves the chains again. That's what you get with Gardner. He's so hot and cold. Back in 11 personnel, he's a guy. I did notice this. Pause this 1 second, Bob, because I noticed this about him. I watched this whole game. He plays almost exclusively out of the shotgun. So if you're going to have an offensive coordinator and you think about bringing in Gardner Minshew, he better be able to call a game pretty much the entire game out of the shotgun, because the only time he was under center was when he was turning around to hand it off to Jonathan Taylor. There was that was it. And it was usually like a 3rd and 1 where you're thinking maybe quarterback sneak could be in play. Outside of that, he played in the shotgun or the pistol almost the entire time I watched this film. He does it. I never really realized that he does that until I kind of saw it happening the entire time throughout this film. And this was not just a Cleveland thing. This is kind of like how his career's gone. Sorry, that was like a little side note I picked up on.
Yeah, he's kind of the quintessential Mike Leach guy, where if you play him in the shotgun and in the spread, he can have some moments for you. But you got to kind of take the good with the bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And in playing out of shotgun exclusively, it does limit your playbook for sure. But if you watch what he does on this one, so he's going to roll out on this one again. He feels a little pressure coming in. He knows that he's got plenty of room outside. He gets outside. Now look at the middle of the screen here on the 40-yard line. You got Josh Downs kind of breaking across the field. No one's there. What's Gardner do? Sees that, hits that man wide open. This turns into a really nice big game. And Josh Downs, I mean, he's a shifty guy. If you can get that guy out in space, you take that all day. And Gardner understands, like, he just gets away from the pressure, rolls out, finds the guy in the middle of the field open, delivers a nice strike. So, again, this is the hot and cold with him. Like, you take the good and the bad if you're going to take a guy like him, because he can give you some good. But if you ever learn how to limit the bad, he could be a pretty nice option to carry you a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a nice throw, pitch and catch, right? I mean, that's a nice little simple play, but he's delivering it. So backed up at the 5-yard line, and here's the bad. We're going to go right back to the bad, because guess what? Here comes Myles Garrett again. And does Gardner Minshew even remotely think about throwing this ball away to any of the guys downfield just to get out of a safety, which ends up being a strip sack touchdown? No, you're correct. He did not even consider it. He held the ball until somebody got open, which just did not happen.
And he could see, especially on that play, he could see Myles Garrett coming. He's like, "Screw this, Myles. Watch this, buddy."
He's like loading up for a big play, and you're like, you do know you're standing 5 yards deep in your own end zone, right? Like this is the thing where you're like, okay, as a veteran, you think you know better, and you don't have to tell this guy, "Hey, dude, don't take a sack in this situation. Don't lose the football in this situation." Well, with Minshew, you got to make sure that he understands to get rid of the goddamn ball, because he didn't do it. All right, so here we are. Now we've seen ball control can be an issue in this game. Here's where being the gunslinger gets him in trouble as well. So this is a play. He misread the defense, I think, on this one primarily. You're going to see it a little bit better out of the second look at this. So it's a misdirection play. They're trying to open up the tight end in the flat, right? So you're going to see the tight end lined up in that kind of like H-back position on the left side of your screen right here. They're going to bring him across. Right there, if the tight end's looking back for the ball, Gardner probably wants to get rid of that. Okay, but ends up being covered up because I can't remember, it's that Okonkwo guy that they had there out of Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. His name OKC, isn't that what they called him?
Yeah.
When he was instead, he thinks Denzel Ward's going to jump the other side of that route, but Denzel Ward sees where Minshew's eyes are going, and he drops into coverage. Minshew never saw him dropping into coverage. And this is where the bad side of Minshew that you get. So again, I talked about it. Like, the dude can give you some good, but he can also give you some really bad.
Right. Here he's got a free play.
Free play. Bomb. It was a great back shoulder throw, to be honest with you. I mean, that was another one where Pierce, this is somebody, by the way, you're probably going to see Pierce again on War Room at some point. Maybe a free agent episode for wide receiver. But here's the good of Minshew again. He's got a nice deep ball. I mean, look, he puts plenty of air under this thing and just allows the receiver to make a play on the ball because the corner was playing back behind him. So you can't throw this ball up over the top. Plus the corner or the safety's playing up over the top as well. So he's going to throw this thing as more of like a back shoulder fade where you just allow your with Pierce is, I think, 6'4", right? 6'3", 6'4". He's fairly
6'8",
tall.
Yeah. He's a big guy.
You're going to allow a taller guy to go after a shorter corner and just go up and make a play on the ball. And he does. And so, again, you take the good and the bad when you're talking about Gardner Minshew. So I thought that was a great throw. I thought it was the appropriate throw on that play. Turns out to be another big play. And that's why he ends up with 303 yards. So Bob has a special. Bob, you're going to take this one.
I threw this play in. Okay, so this is why quintessentially I love Gardner Minshew. So this is against the Steelers, same season, and this is not one of his 3 touchdowns that he threw, but this is what he brings with that mentality of I'm not giving up on the play. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna throw it. You can see him take the snap. Here he comes, and then he's sacked. No, he's not sacked. Okay, I'll run. No, I won't run. Okay, I'll back up. Okay, there's Alec Pierce. Or no, I'm sorry, that was Pittman. And he tosses it to him. I mean, he should have probably taken off and got 5 or 7 yards.
Yeah.
And instead, he says, nope, screw that, and drops back 5 yards. And you can kind of see it here.
Yeah, he had a run lane right there.
Yeah, and then just decides, yeah, fuck it. Let's see what happens if I drop back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like Pittman was wide open.
No, that was a good throw.
He just made something happen.
He does, and again, if you're looking at a guy like that, you're going to get the big moments, and you're going to get the really, really bad moments, and he hits all of them in between. Like He's so much fun to watch at times, and he's so frustrating to watch at times too. So I know we've got Gary's already saying no Minshew. I get it, dude. I get it. Trust me, I'm not advocating for him, but there's not a lot in the free agent market.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Malik Willis, or it's a guy like Gardner Minshew, and then you bring in a competition.
Yeah.
Look, if there's any Mason stands in the chat, we usually don't get too many here. I will tell you this. I have a sneaking suspicion Mason Rudolph will be cut before they even get to OTAs. Like, they'll just say thanks and bye.
Yeah. Yeah, because you brought him back in part because he's familiar with the system. He's familiar with the team, the organization. The system is gone. Arthur Smith's not going to be here anymore. I think it's pretty safe to say at this point. I know it's not official, but it's pretty safe to say Arthur Smith's not going to be here. He's interviewing for multiple OCs. He's interviewed for head coaching positions. He ain't going to be here. And honestly, most of Pittsburgh's fine with that, right? I don't know if too many people are going to argue about it. There are some Arthur Smith fans out there, but I don't know too many people are going to argue and fight for him. So you're going to bring in a new regime. They're going to have a new philosophy. Mason Rudolph's not going to fit into that philosophy anymore.
So if you can't find a player in free agency, and you probably can't get a quarterback in the draft unless you get really lucky, then it's time to talk trade. So is this the greatest trade market since sliced bread? No. But let's talk about who some potential targets are. I left Kyler Murray specifically off this list because I believe he's going to be cut. But let's talk about what the actual options are here. And a lot of it's offensive coordinator dependent. Do I know that the 49ers are willing to give up Mac Jones? No. But, I mean, that's, to me, I would give up a third and see if I can pry him away. I think it might take a second.
Somber. I love it, Somber. We're all in on that. By the way, Mekhi Lemon's my dude for Pittsburgh all day. I want him as our first, if he's still there. But anyway,
all right.
I'm going to get sidetracked with that.
So, Trent, what are you giving up for Mac Jones, if anything?
So okay, so here's step one of this is Malik Willis is signed with another team.
Yes,
okay?
Of course.
So, and Daniel Jones isn't going to sign on the cheap because I would rather have Daniel Jones. But I think I would take Mac Jones over a guy like we just showed on the screen with Gardner Minshew. Mm-hmm. I'm not giving up much. I think I'm throwing out a sixth and maybe putting conditions on it. If he becomes a starter and he hits 3,500 yards and 24 touchdowns, it turns into a fourth. Whatever. I mean, whatever you want to throw it on those conditions. But I feel like for the 49ers, why would they give him up for a 6th-round pick? It doesn't make a ton of sense for them unless they're just trying to load up on some picks because they've had, some horrific injuries throughout basically the last 5 years, it feels like. But at the same time, they probably want to hang on to him. But if you get the right compensation for him, they may be willing to move on. And I think you're going to have to throw some conditions on that to get him out of town, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I really think it matters who the coordinator is here. Mm-hmm. And if it's the Shanahan trade, I could see Mac Jones, and he kind of really rehabbed his image in those games he played for San Francisco. I mean, there was talk, might have been from me, that he was better than Brock Purdy.
You did find that train pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a former first-round pick for a reason. He's had some difficulty. Look, if Sam Darnold can do it, is it really so far out of the realm of possibility that Mac Jones can do it? Now, is this the long-term franchise quarterback? Hell no. But if you're talking about, okay, I bring in Clay Kubiak, and hey, here's a guy I'm familiar with who I think could help us, and I can draw up plays for this. Not as the head coach, as the coordinator. I'm sure we'll talk about that a lot on Friday.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting name here because you had half the panel in the wild card game saying they should go to him. I don't know if the Texans would do it, but what would you give for Davis Mills?
Davis Mills is a weird dude. So people probably don't remember him coming out of high school. Davis Mills was extremely highly recruited, number one. Why the hell he went to Stanford, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he go to Stanford? Yeah. I mean, he was ridiculously highly recruited. I feel, if I remember right, I could be way off. Somebody will fact check this and probably tell me I'm batshit crazy. I feel like he was in the top 5 of his entire class as a recruit coming out of high school. I mean, he was so highly recruited. It was kind of crazy. And then he just never turned into that guy. And the talent was always there. And the talent is still there. I mean, there's times where you've seen him play for the Texans that you can still see a little bit of that in him. I don't think he's as system dependent as Mac Jones is. I think Mac Jones is somebody who, I mean, Ben Johnson's system, the Shanahan system, like the timing and being accurate type systems, Mac Jones fits pretty well. I mean, that's why he looked good in the 49ers offense, right? Davis Mills, I don't think is that same dependent kind of guy. I would maybe consider a 5th round pick for him because I feel like you could kind of run a little bit more, but I'm still not giving up much for Davis Mills because you've seen a lot of bad from him too.
Yeah. I mean, I would maybe go a 4th for Mills. I wouldn't go into day 2. I'd stick to day 3. I'd try for a 5th. I'd maybe go a 4th. But again, like you said, he's not system dependent, so you'd have some flexibility if you brought him in. And again, this is just these none of the guys on this list are a long-term fix. Yeah. Unless something goes wildly great. This is a guy I'm really
Summer's on the same thought train I am because I was going to get to that. Keep going.
Yeah. This is a guy I really like, Tanner McKee. I've watched him a lot with the Eagles. I think he's the quarterback in waiting. I think they're about ready to give up on Hurts. It's not going to be this year, but if Hurts doesn't have a big year, I think they're ready to go to this guy. So you'd probably, and it's Howie Roseman, so you probably have to overpay to get him. There's just something about that kid that I like.
See, I'm not. He's getting a ton of buzz right now, so you're not the only person in that boat, right? So there's a lot of people around the league talking about him being a potential trade target in a weak quarterback class. And so, like, there's a number of factors here that you're probably right about. So Roseman, yeah, he wins trades. He doesn't lose trades, right? So you're giving up more than what Tanner McKee's worth if you go get him. Number 2, there is a lot of buzz now starting to float out that there's a lot of people in the Eagles locker room, whether it's true or not, that don't really like Jalen Hurts. Like they don't, the players, not just coaching or whatever, the players do not like Jalen Hurts. So if that's true, and he didn't look great this year, then Tanner McKee may be getting a more realistic shot at some point down the line than what we may be considering right now, right? I mean, that's a possibility. So then again, that's another thing that drives his price tag up for them is they don't want to get rid of him. Another thing is the weak quarterback class in general, both free agency and in the draft coming along, drives his price up. So like, I feel like you have to give at least a 4th, and they may ask for a 3rd for him, which takes him completely out of the picture for me personally, because I don't think he's worth it. I'm not in the same boat that everybody else is, thinking that he's a solid NFL quarterback. I agree with you. The price tag is going to be up for sure.
Yeah. Howie Roseman's going to hold him hostage. So, in full disclosure, Trent and I have very different opinions about the next guy. Okay. Stetson Bennett for the Rams. Let's say that it's a Shula Shieldhouse combination. And he's 3rd on the depth chart behind Jimmy G. It's not that they don't like the guy, but they needed a realistic Matt Stafford option. Because remember, at the beginning of the year, there was real talk Stafford was going to miss 4 or 5 games at the beginning of the year. What do we think about Stetson Bennett here?
If I'm inviting him over to my house to do the best keg stand you've ever seen in your life, then I think I'm giving up a 7th round pick for Stetson Bennett. But I don't like. I've been out on Stetson Bennett. I didn't like him in college. First of all, I'll say that I didn't think he was a very good quarterback in college. He kind of rode the coattails of the greatest college tight end that we had ever seen at that point.
Right.
Like, and it's kind of been that way. He fell to what did he go in the 6th Did he go in the 6th round?
No, he was surprisingly.
Was he 4th round? He went the 4th round. I thought he was the 6th round, but I think he did go in the 4th round.
He did.
I was wrong about that. Yeah, I think he went in the 4th round. But he wasn't like a top 2nd, 1st round pick for a reason. He's got limitations. He's not overly big, and he doesn't have a strong arm. I think he just benefited from a really great Georgia team. And Brock Bowers carried his ass. He had Brock Bowers and who was the receiver that was there with him? Well, Darnell. I know Darnell didn't catch a lot with him. Pickens was hurt most of that last year that he was there. I'm trying to think who the other receiver was in that class. I can't remember who the other receiver was on that team at the time, but I mean he had some real weapons there when he was there. So I felt like he got carried a lot. Same talk that you guys always talk about the high state quarterbacks, which is there's truth to it for sure. Like he had a really good team around him, and I thought they carried him.
So here's the things I like about Bennett is the guy who thought the most of him and who frankly overdrafted him, Stetson Bennett, should not have been a 4th round pick. He didn't have that kind of college career, but Ladd McConkey, good call, Somber.
I didn't want to cut you off, but he's the one I kept thinking in my mind. I could not picture whether or not he was there at the time or not. I knew he was in that ballpark. I couldn't remember if he was there with him or if he only played for. But anyway, sorry, Bob.
Yeah, when Sean McVay likes who you are as a quarterback, and he's played pretty well in the preseason for them. He's never played a regular season snap, but if you're reaching for guys in a class like this. This is a guy, he's got limitations. He doesn't have great arm strength. He's small. He's under 6 feet tall. Don't love that. But if you're telling me I get the Rams offense with him running it for 1 year until we go get the guy, I don't hate it. Everybody talks about Will Howard, national champion, and that's why he should get a shot as a 6th pick. Well, here's a 2-time national championship who was a 4th round pick. Let them fight it out. Bring me Stetson Bennett. Bring me Will Howard. Put them out there. Whoever wins, wins.
Did you say what you would give up for him? What's your compensation?
I would not give up higher than a 5th because he's 3rd string on the depth chart. I would offer a 7th. Maybe go to a 6th. The only way I'd go to a 5th is if Shieldhouse is the coordinator, and he says I got to have Stetson Bennett because I'm not doing it with Will Howard.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of Rams guys out here available.
Right. Yeah.
So the next guy could make himself a lot of money on Sunday.
Yeah, this is going to be Sunday dependent for sure. I mean, listen, Jarrett Stidham's had some stints playing in the NFL already. Right? I mean, like, maybe like he's had some moments. He's had some not so good moments. I think I'd go 5th for Jarrett Stidham though. When he had his best game, I think playing was it the Raiders a few years ago?
Yeah,
where he was a starter for a little bit there. Had some good moments there. He started for the Patriots, didn't he? Isn't that where he started his career?
Started for the Broncos when they benched Russell Wilson.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, okay. I mean, I would throw out a 5th for Jarrett Stidham to come compete here. I mean, what the hell? Like, we've got 12 picks in this draft, so you can be a little loose with what you throw out there for. And if he plays really, really well on Sunday, maybe you think of reconsidering for something else. Because if he doesn't in playoff football, okay, now I'm thinking about moving that up the ladder a little bit. I'm not going to a 3rd for any of these guys, but I would definitely be open to throwing out a 4th for him.
Yeah. And now a very popular name in chat right now, Tyson Bagent.
Do you remember at one point before Ben Johnson became the coach for the Bears, there was serious conversation about Bagent starting over Caleb Williams?
There was serious conversation in training camp with Ben Johnson.
Yes. Like, that's a guy who might make some noise. Like, for real. He may make some noise in this offseason. He's probably going to field some offers. And I don't understand. I'm trying not to read the chat, Corb. I'm trying to come up with my own stuff. Thank you. But anyway, you guys have been going on for quite a while. I can't keep up with you guys, to be perfectly honest with you. I'll be honest. He's a tall guy. He's coming from he played in a Division II school. He was one of those rare guys that kind of made it. And then, like, I'll never forget that press conference where he got that contract and was, like, crying at the podium. Like, that's a great story, right? But he can actually play. Like, we've seen him play in games before. He's thrown the ball pretty well. He can hit all the levels of the field. He, out of this list, might be the most intriguing to me. And that includes Mac Jones, as well as he played for the 49ers this year. Because you just wonder if Bagent can do a little bit more with some more opportunities, because he's not had a ton. But, man, I'll tell you what. I'm intrigued by that kid. I would give a fourth for him. For sure.
Yeah,
I would even, with 3 third-round picks in this draft, I'd be hard-pressed to give up a third-round pick because we have so many needs. But, man, I wouldn't mind making it a conditional one for the next year. Fourth that can be conditional third-round pick.
Yeah, conditional third. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's an interesting name. And Vaughn pointed out that, Ben Johnson loved him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think love comes into it when, look, I'll admit freely, Caleb Williams has proven me wrong. We'll see if it lasts. But bottom line is Ben Johnson might turn that kid into a top 12, 15 quarterback in the NFL. He has talent to maybe go higher, but I still don't love his decision-making in his head. But that being said, when you got a guy he played himself into the unquestioned franchise quarterback, there isn't going to be any, unless he gets hurt, there isn't going to be any Tyson Bagent room. So at that point, you got a team build, and you got to say, okay, look, I got a guy who's probably going to fetch me a third, fourth round pick. I got to consider it if the right team comes calling.
Yeah.
Do we trade TJ Watt for Bagent? And a pick, then
you better get a pretty nice pick back behind that. I mean, like, TJ's contract's a pretty hefty contract, but Caleb's still under that rookie deal. So hey, you never know that. And the Bears definitely need a little pass rush to them, because they probably could have done a little more with that pass rush if they had something. But we're not sure if TJ can even rush a passer at this point the way he played this year. So who knows? But yeah, I don't know. I could go on a tirade about Caleb, so I'm going to hold that.
Yeah, and then last name on the list is kind of a forgotten guy. He's just a guy who always intrigues me when he gets in the game. He's kind of like a little bit bigger, stronger Minshew to me, where he's got a little bit of a gunslinger. But Aiden O'Connell is expendable. He's on the trade target list, but frankly, he's going to be on the free agent list, I think, very soon. I mean, he was the third quarterback for the Raiders. They're drafting Fernando Mendoza. We're going to break some news here. That means O'Connell might be on the street. But would I throw a seventh at it? I kind of would, assuming I can't get any of these other guys.
I don't personally like Aiden O'Connell. I mean, he has the prototypical size for a pocket passing quarterback. He came out with some Kirk Cousins comps because they had the Michigan State ties, and he has that same kind of like lack of mobility. But he delivers the ball. The arm strength is very similar between the two guys. So there were definitely some like realistic comps between the two of those guys. But O'Connell doesn't see the field the same way. I don't think I would give up anything for Aiden O'Connell, to be perfectly honest with you. I think I would rather. I think if I was in the Aiden O'Connell territory, I'd rather go draft a guy like Taylon Green in the 7th round, who might even just go undrafted. But the physical tools are ridiculous that you take a shot on that guy and just see what the hell happens. So, like, I know throwing out, hey, I'd rather just give up a 7th round pick and see if I can get Aiden O'Connell sounds like great. But at the same time, for me, I think I'd rather just go take a shot at a guy like Taylon Green, just assume he had shit coaching throughout his college career at a bad school and say, hey, to your point, if we bring in the right OC, what if we bring in an OC who's really, really good at developing quarterbacks? And you go get a guy with phenomenal tools, and he has great size, but he overthrows a lot that creates turnovers. He's got great mobility, but he relies on it too much. I don't know.
Hey, don't say. The one thing I like about O'Connell, though, to be honest with you, and why I think it would be intriguing with DK Metcalf, is he will uncork it. He will throw it down the field.
He will. He will.
Ain't gonna be no check down Charlie. Gonna be a lot of fumbles. Gonna be a lot of interceptions. But he's gonna throw it down the field.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right. More mobile Mason. Look, and I don't want to be clear. Aiden O'Connell will not be Plan A, Plan B, Plan C, Plan D. We get down to Plan A, F, Plan G, Plan H. Okay, maybe he comes into the conversation a little bit. And like I said, I do think there's a great chance he'll be a free agent by the time the draft rolls around.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, I mean it's there. We're going to talk about quarterbacks on Sunday for the draft class. We're doing our first draft show on Sunday, and it'll be a little bit quarterback centric. We will be unveiling a top 32 big board that we're going to post on the website. We're also going to be rolling it out every week. I'll be doing mocks. I haven't picked a day yet. Probably not Tuesday night mocks because we're doing Tuesday war rooms. But I'll be doing my mocks like I did last year and putting those videos out. We'll do draft profiles, all that good stuff. We're going to have tons of draft coverage, and all leading up to our second annual draft bash. And some of you guys came on the program last year. We're going to start working on guests and everything. So it should be a lot of fun, but let us know definitely, on the war rooms, who you want to see for a position group to highlight and kind of go over. We're definitely doing wide receiver. I'm sure we'll do corner. But anything else you guys want to see, let us know leading up to free agency. We may get more draft centric on this show too after free agency kind of comes and goes before the draft. But there's a lot of good things. I mean, I think a lot of this is going to be real speculation until we get a coach. But then once we get a coach, we can kind of really pinpoint maybe some guys. Don't count on Omar to be pulling off some interesting trades in this because free agency might not be the route, but Dave will just chastise and do all that. But it's hard to argue that Omar at least tries to shake the roster up. Does he hit every time? No. But is he afraid? No.
He's not, and he will make some moves for sure. And I think we'll see some this offseason trying to unfold. And I've got some thoughts about guys I think are probably going to end up leaving that are still under contract even, but we'll definitely get into that. And you're right about the OC thing. Like, Mac Jones, for example, may or may not even be on the board depending on who our AC is. Like, he may not even fit the mold. So, like, we're throwing out things that are just speculation and just trying to, show people who's actually out there. Because a lot of times in the offseason, you start seeing like, oh, this name will get thrown around or that name will get thrown around. But, like, people don't really dive into, like, who's actually a free agent, who's actually available, like, who's not. We're just trying to show you some things. We got nothing better to do this time of year, and we're really winging it. So if you guys have some things you want to see, throw it out there and help us think of some stuff. We'll gladly dive into it.
And one thing, I'm sure we're going to talk about this again on Friday. For those of you who are nervous that Clint Kubiak is not on our list, Clint Kubiak has a weird contract where he is not allowed to interview until the Seahawks are eliminated from the playoffs. So that has become less common in coordinator contracts here recently, but he's got one of those old school, you can't interview, you can't do anything. He can't even do Zoom calls. That's why his name is not on the list.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I will say this. I don't love the idea of Anthony Carver, but I listened to at least 3 different people today, including friend of the program, Nick Farabaugh, who was like, this guy is going to put together a hell of an interview. He's going to walk in and command the room, and Art might get swayed by that. I hope that's not the case, but they're saying he is going to be a dynamite interview.
Somber, you're trying to turn this into a draft show, buddy. But since you started it, if you haven't seen Stribling, there is an obvious connection because they're 2 Ole Miss guys. But Stribling reminds me so much of Mike Wallace. I mean, so much of Mike Wallace. Like, they are like twins from a 30-year gap, 20-year gap, whatever the age difference is between the 2 of them guys, 20 years about. I'd love to know if anybody else sees that comp because he reminds me so much of Mike Wallace. Sorry.
Yeah, which by the way, guys, Somber was on point last year with his draft comments. Really, really good stuff. He comes up with some when he puts out a deep sleeper. Greg put out some too, but Somber really came up with some good names. And if you got bored and you wanted to go back and look at draft shows from last year, he was really hitting on some of the guys he was saying as a dark horse. You know,
look to get Somber on the broadcast live. Get the mic out, headphones out, whatever you got. Get on a broadcast, buddy.
Yeah, and for those of you guys, you know, who watched it and followed it last year, we hit on a lot of the guys we said would be the best players in the draft. You guys all know I loved Eamon Mori. I called him the best player in the draft. I don't know if you can definitively say that after year 1, but I mean, definitely to me, he's in the conversation, and I really think he's going to do nothing but great things going forward. You know, there's guys out there. Dave Love Jackson Dart, turns out he was pretty much right in the sense that, was he worth a first round pick looking back? Yeah. Am I sad the Steelers didn't get him? Nah.
Yeah.
And I may have been wrong. I may have been wrong about Shedeur Sanders.
Me and Colin had a pretty epic few battles about Eamon Mori. Like we butted heads pretty hard. I mean, we usually see comps, like player comps and players, pretty similarly. I mean, you've probably heard us talk a couple times about like guys. I mean, we both love Troy Fautanu coming out, and there's a number of guys that we've talked about together. But like me and him did not get. We were like you and Dave going back and forth about Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders. Like me and him were that. We battled each other out pretty hard on that.
I just got an alert on my phone from Gary, who I'm surprised he didn't post this in chat. Looks like Mike McDaniel is expected to become the Chargers' offensive coordinator, barring a change of heart, which means he probably realized I am not getting a job as a head coach anywhere. That's an interesting fit. I think Harbaugh and McDaniel could be fit. Very interesting together.
So here's the thing. I actually saw earlier today that he had withdrawn his name from the Cleveland head coaching position.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's kind of odd. Like a guy that we were talking about, we're not sure. We thought he might get a head coaching position, but like we weren't really sure if anybody was going to give him that chance. Like, why would you withdraw your name? So that makes a lot more sense at this point. And he's got to listen. Harbaugh loves to run the ball. I've talked about this ad nauseum. McDaniel draws up some of the best fucking run schemes that you're going to find for an OC who also loves to play fast. I mean, he is a great offensive mind. That's a scary fit. And all the Justin Herbert haters out there, you're about to see something fucking scary.
Yeah, and he was hurt this year a lot, but one of my big draft crushes was Omarion Hampton. Man, Omarion Hampton in a Mike McDaniel offense, if you don't got him in a fantasy keeper thing, or you can get him in a fantasy keep, get that guy. Get that guy right now. Because he's not as fast as A-Chain, but man, imagine if Ollie Gordon could actually, run a 40 in less than 3.5 days. I mean, this is going to be lights out. And it looks, Gary, hey,
Gary's on
kudos
top
to
of
you
it.
for breaking the news, man. Yeah, I mean that's awesome. Yeah, I think the Chargers are dangerous. I mean, I still think Herbert will pee down his legs, so it's good he wears the yellow pants. But
Yeah. Listen, Herbert with him as OC, you're going to see what the offense in Miami should have looked like with a quarterback with an arm instead of the fucking candy arm that you have.
I agree with. He needs a burner though. He needs to get the man.
Somebody opposite of Johnston.
Would the Chargers be ballsy enough to trade for Waddle or Hill? I don't know if you 100. I think you got to see Hill run before you make the offer. But if you got Mike McDaniel and he comes there and says, "Hey man, Tyreek's good, trade him, trade for him." And now Tyreek's running routes with Justin Herbert leading him down the field. Ooh, could be interesting.
And people forget Johnston can run too.
Yeah,
I mean he can't catch, but he can run, and when he does catch, it goes a long way. So that offense instantly, and Gadsden being a receiving threat now, oh man, and we saw what Jonnu actually looked like when he was given the ball as a tight end. Now imagine Gadsden in that role. That offense instantly gets way better. Ooh man, that's a scary thought. Scary thought.
All right, well, guys in the chat, you've been awesome. We appreciate it, Gary, breaking the news. We'll be back on Friday night. We're going to have our regular Steelers Sanctuary episode. Everybody will be there. We'll have legendary picks, although I didn't have a great week. That being said, Friday night, 7 o'clock, Sunday, 2 o'clock for the draft show. As always, we appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe, and lots of good stuff coming to you this off season. So, and by the way, there'll be a lot of good stuff posted on the SteelersSanctuary.com. A lot of the stuff we do, the big board, all that good stuff, we'll be posting that on there as well. We'll let you guys know and send out alerts on X when we get it out there. Trent, you got anything else?
Nope. This was a long one. It was fun though. Good time.
Absolutely.
And just like that, I left everything. See ya!